Grand Rising family, is Shay Seeking, and this is Not Your Mama's Bible Study, along with a little bit of his stories, lies. So, yeah, we're just gonna do a brief share really quick. Um, I just noticed I was looking at some stuff because again, I'm still working on Gettysburg and the book of Joshua. In all the instances that went around the so-called Gettysburg that led to and that happened after, during, or whatnot, all the little branches of the Civil War and everything that we're trying to piece together to see what really is going on here. Okay, so I ended up looking up something about a certain group of so-called Indians. And then I started to find some information talking about TEYAS, or TEJAS, or I believe that that is how some of the um, so-called Mexican family may pronounce it. And yeah, so I found a couple of things, some images and stuff, and then I found this particular book that I was just going to go ahead and share with you guys. So again, I can't turn the image here, but this says the Rock and Pueblo. So again, the Rock and Pueblo of the Acoma, seen from the north. Okay. I don't know if this has something to do with Tacoma, Washington, or something. I just say it as I see it. And then this says Moss Ing. I thought it said Moses. That would have been great for what I'm working on, but anyway, Ing something. Okay. So again, you can see that these are definitely very dark skinned people here. Here and here, there may be someone here that might be a little bit lighter, and it looks like the hair might be a little bit of a different texture. If these are not hair coverings, I'm not sure. So then it says the addition and corrections for bandolier. I don't know. Final report. So I'm guessing this is somewhat of a final report because this is finally when they were able to go ahead and take down some of the original peoples um, of these places. Who knows? But you can see that there's all kind of stuff here from different dates and stuff that are adding up to what's going on here. Um, let's see. But this is Papers of the Archaeological Institute of America, American Series 3, Final Report of Investigation among the Indians of the Southwestern United States, carried on mainly in the years from 1880 to 1885. So again, this would have been after a lot of the stuff that had occurred with this particular war. But again, there are other things that happened in the 1700s that would be pertaining to this war under different names because, again, as they advanced, things changed. But again, the narrative has always been the same. Okay. So, part one, blah, blah, blah. You see Archaeological Institute of America, 1879. And then you'll see here that these are, I guess this is a council. Charles, Henry, Martin, Francis, Stephen, Frederick, Russell, Augustus, Allen, David, Arthur, and John Peters. John Peters, Peters, John, Peter, John, Peter. Okay, so this is some of the stuff here that is being talked about in the book, the introduction and all these things, the present condition of the Indian tribes, characteristics of the existing tribes. Okay, so let's see. So again, this is actually them, what does it say? First impulses of Christianity. And we know Christianity has so much to do with the ceding and the taking of the American land from the people. I just don't understand how so many people have not been able to find out that this Bible is actually talking about history. It's just mind-boggling to me. But again, the group of people, they made sure that they like to be entertained better than and educated, which is not really anything but indoctrination, rather than be informed. Okay. Um, so it's kind of sad how things have happened. Okay. So the present, and it's so funny. Just a lot of things are funny that's just been happening lately. Even someone coming up to me and they were like, "Oh, yeah, for those of you who don't know, that my real name is Shalonda. That's my name." And I was picking up some food or something one day, and the guy said, "You know what? What is your name? Wow." You know, and then a lot of times when people can't understand what I'm saying when I say my name, I'll say, it's like Yolanda, but Shalonda. And they whatnot. So he was like, "What's your name?" And I was like, "Shalonda." And he was like, "Oh, you know what? That's a Mexican name, girl." And he was like, "That's my great grandmother," and he asked me how I spelt it, and I told him how I spelt it. And he said, "Wow, that's the same way." So, I just thought that I had never heard that before, but I thought that that was strange, that um she doesn't even live in America or whatever, and that she would have gotten her name from wherever she was from, and that was her name. So anyhow, I thought that was pretty neat. But anyhow, objective speaking, Spanish rule. Okay. So again, this is just, it's talking about the who occasionally wander up New Mexican soil. Okay. This has just a little bit to do with, whatever here. Oh, wait a minute. Let's see what this says. Cushing or Cushing. Mm, I may well affirm that our results can hardly be separated, that since I formed his acquaintance, I have scarcely discovered anything about the Aborigines, okay, while residing or traveling among them, to which my attention had not been called by some observation of his at Zuni or Suni, or which did not subsequently find its equivalent in the complete picture of indigenous life, which his material will present when placed before the public. Okay, so let's just see. It also talks about some stuff here. Again, I haven't read anything about this. I just thought that it was something to share, so we're just skimming through it right now. These Indians are now the Opatas, the Pimas, as to the Opatas and Pimas. And again, this makes me wonder if this might be the original, because you have a lot of natives come on the platforms and they say, "What is your tribe?" or whatever, whatever. They don't understand that they've been lied to and they've been miseducated as to who they are. And so again, they may be who they are, but again, there was someone there originally. So I think when they're splitting and half tribe Manasseh, and when they're splitting tribes and everything, and they're saying they live amongst them, these are sister tribes or whatever may be, that again, could these be the originals, again, because they have none of the names of the original so-called groups prior to them being civilized by the US government. Okay, so again, a lot of them have the more new word. One second. Tribal names that have been given to them, after they become upright or changed. Okay, so again, that's why I like, is one of the books I put up the other day or a while back, and I said, next time they start asking you what tribe and everything you come from, you ask them if they belong to these older primitive names. Okay, so anyhow, let's see, Manos of El Paso del Norte have intermingled with the whites. Oh, wait a minute, what happened? Oh, okay. Or amalgamated, okay, with the whites, although uh, the former, but slightly. The pyros and Senecu remain not intact. Wonder what that means. Not intact for intermarriages with Mansos. T something Apaches, Sumas, Sumerian. I'm just thinking, I'm just going how I'm going, okay? Again, I'm never here to tell you what it is or what it ain't. I'm just simply sharing what it looks like to me, okay? So it was earlier, in fact, that the Jesuit missionaries, um, And missionaries are nothing but the people that are sent on a mission to indoctrinate the indigenous groups, okay, of the 16th and 17th century to make a census. Okay, so again, when God is telling these people to take a number, or what's the breadth, or do a census, these are the censuses that we're talking about. You just have been the education, or the information has been split. They put what they want you to know in your indoctrination stations, such as schools and churches. And you know what they do there? Okay. They use different terminology, but we're talking about the same thing. So while you're learning from K to 12 about the history of the Americas, and again, more than likely you'll learn more about the state that you live in than the whole entire continent. You'll learn some stuff about a lot of these people that came here to take things, and the thieves and stuff that came in to take for their father or their God. You'll learn a lot about them, but again, you don't realize that when we're talking about in history is the founding fathers and their lineage going up. But what we're talking about in the Old Testament in the Bible is just the old world people that came here, the planters, the pilgrims, and all of those people that you don't talk about in depth. Okay, you may talk a little bit about, but you don't go into depth of these people. Those are talking about those particular people in the Old Testament, and your people, which again they don't talk about at all. Okay, most of our history books only talk about the natives, which are the new earth, or the new groups that after all of the flooding, amalgamating, cultivating, growing, planting, enslaving, killing, you see all of that, killing legally and physically. Okay. After all of the things have been done, the indoctrination, the schools that were brought in to then reform or take the Indian out of the natives. So again, because these people were bred through some of these people were bred through the original peoples of this land, or at least the indigenous people that were bred through the original people or aboriginal people. Okay. So again, they have to get rid of those old ways and bring them all the way into the civilized, or foreign way of thinking. So again, in church, in Bible study, or maybe not, but I'm just saying in the Bible itself, when we're talking about the Old Testament, we're talking about the old world. And we don't talk much about the old world. We don't even talk that much about South America or Canada or anything else when we're doing unless it's agricultural, okay, or something like that when we're going through school. Okay, so when God is telling them to take a census, you better believe that this is what we're talking about. Okay, let's see. Okay. They have become so thoroughly merged, so mixed, or what do you call it? Because again, slavery was more about breeding than anything else. They won't tell you that, but I am. Okay. Merged into the Spanish and Creole population, that it is not possible to separate the pure blood from the mestizos. And the mestizos were supposed to be, they'll change it up here and there. Basically, the so-called foreigners or whites, that mixed with the native or indigenous or aboriginal populations, in my eyes. Okay, so let's see. The series are nearly approachable in their island homes. That reminds me of the Andaman Islanders, or whatever they're called. The same may be said of the wild half of of tame wait of the Tarahumaries, the Tara Huma Humaries. Again, this is reminding me of even like how they say the half tribe of Manasseh. I'm not saying that this name, but I'm just saying the wild half. So the other half was not wild. So one is, probably dead and by law, and one is, civilized. Okay. So again, we're just going to go ahead and skim through here. Jonas had modified their blood, and Jonas. So again, I'm wondering Jonas and the whale. So, had modified their blood. Still, they are least dwell by themselves, and approximate estimate of their numbers is not impossible. Okay. So again, you just see a little bit. Their complexion is usually bronze. They are very well formed. The women rather buxom and middle height. It's kind of like people in my family. I'm not saying that we're from, but I'm just, we're just putting stuff into perspective, okay? Mm, let's see. The Yakuis, who have been raised among whites from childhood on, enjoy our mode of living and sympathize with us. I wonder why. Because these are their children. These are their children, okay? Okay, their complexion is bronze. Okay, we already did that. And some of the Pueblo females are found who are very white and handsome. Okay. And again, what does white mean at this point in time? You would have to go through etymology to see if we're in the 1880s, I believe it was, or 60s even, to see what white was pertaining to then. Just pure, again, because it doesn't necessarily mean a color of your skin, because again, nobody's skin color is that. Okay, unless they're a vampire or something. Okay. White and handsome, they are, and it's kind of remind me of black but comely. Again, because white also we know black can mean black, bleached, bleak. Uh, again, somebody just messaged me the other day and said, why, when it seems like we're talking about white in etymology, it seems like you're talking about black. So again, it's up to those who are discerning. Okay. And they are children of the so-called coyotes. And it's kind of like, well, coyotes or whatever. And even, just messing around, just how we just said, very white. Um, but then, even like I told you guys about the so many correlations with history and things that went on when it comes to when you take a deeper look or use your mind's eye when you look at certain movies like the vampire movie, the Breaking Dawn or whatever it is. Okay. And then remember the other guys, Jacob and them were, they came from the coyote tribes or whatever, the wolf tribe. And then in the movie they have them turning into wolves or whatever. But then again, I'm just saying they always do something in the movies, but they kind of do it over the top so that you don't think that, or when you bring it up to people, they'll say, oh, this is just a movie. But really they're tied to these animals for whatever reason. Okay. Distinction purposes, I don't know. But I'm just saying that's what, I've noticed. Or daughters. Okay. Um, and usually we use handsome for speaking of men. But again, woman doesn't necessarily only mean one females. So once you start doing the etymology, it's kind of hard to keep going along with what they're how they're writing it, because then you see what they're really talking about. Okay. Daughters or daughters of Spain or Spanish fathers and Indian mothers. Okay. Okay, so again, if we're talking about the other Indians, okay, the darker root, and we're talking about the darker root Spanish, then you're going to get still a darker skin. So again, is it very white or pure? Pure can be something that is extremely dark and there's no blemishes or no lightening there. And it can also mean something that is very light and you can't tell that it came from dark. Okay, so let's see. Weight, very opposite of ours. From children on, they are inclined to theft, addicted to drunkenness, and from all kinds of fermented liquors. Now, that's a tricky one. You might want to go look into what this actually means. Okay, so anyway, let's go ahead and look at something, because these are the things I like to get right to before I even go into the book, is hair, texture, and skin tones. Okay, so this is a quick way to go ahead and do that. Let's see, in customer manner living, there is no perceptible difference between the TEYAS. Again, this is a different way. I was looking up TEYAS, so TAYAS, and then here's another way of spelling it, TEHUAS. Again, TEYAS, okay, and the Corres, I don't know, okay. But there is difference in costume. Again, costume or okay? That while the quarries only uh, tie back their hair in a short queue, most, not at all, of the TEYAS braids in the side lock with worsted TEYAS braid, the side locks, okay, with worsted or fur. Worsted, that would be a good one to look up, of some kind. Otherwise, two tribes dress alike and display something. And again, these are just showing you what, but you can click on this here if you guys don't know, and you can go ahead and look deeper into it. It'll show you the whole page. Okay, but we're just doing this to see if this is something that anybody might be interested in. Again, because I'm working on something else, but I thought that someone can use it. So, robes, rabbit hair, or skin. Something about the Zuni. Why is this thing keep on moving? Okay, okay. Rabbit hair or skin, particularly at Zuni, the fact that cotton was, okay, all right. So again, and that just reminded me of like the thing that I did on mm, the fur trade and stuff like that, and then the using our hair as cushioning for furniture, and then it made me also just think right now of what was it? Goodness, this stuff comes in and out so quick. Oh, an image that I put up on Facebook a little while ago, and I was showing it because it was showing a what looked to be a native scalping someone, and then I was thinking, wait a minute. When I started looking at the texture of the hair that was attached to the scalp that he was holding up, because at first I thought for some reason it was a heart, but anyhow, kind of looked like locks or whatever a little bit, and then I had to do the title for that as what's really going on here, because you can see that whoever it was that was on the ground that he took the scalp from was not a so-called white man, and it wasn't another native, a so-called native. It was someone that looked very, very dark skinned, but you couldn't really see. So it kind of went in, it made me think back about that and how they use these people in order to enslave, and to some of these groups in order to enslave and to skin and scalp our people and make furniture and things out of them. This is just how it's been done, and people still wear these particular items to this day. Okay, and you wonder where they get it from, and you wonder why there's so many of your people missing. Again, it's important to know. There's a lot of gross things that are, I can't remember exactly what book it's in the Bible that I was reading not too long ago when I did that thing on George Floyd, and we were going to go into, I can't remember what book it was, about the disgusting things that it was saying about the sacrifices and the offerings, which again ties me to some freaky movie I just watched last night. I don't know why I even finished it, but it was about cannibalism, you know. So yeah, um, ancient, and it had something to do with Indian tribes, and it had something to do, and I think it's We Are Who We Are or something like that on Prime. And how they were, taking the skin from people fasting, and they were heavy Christians, and they were actually eating people, and I don't know, it was just weird. So, but anyways, so let's see. The mantles of rabbit hair are shown again. The run rabbit thing, the whole thing with even um, told you guys a while back there was this thing about rabbits on Netflix that I think was actually talking about people. And I can't remember what it's called, but it was like a realistic, like 3D kind of cartoon kind of thing or whatever, about rabbits and their dwelling, and things about them being slaughtered and killed off in wars and stuff like that. It was pretty good. Again, because I use my mind's eye when I'm looking at movies. I don't look at them for entertainment purposes anymore. It just doesn't work like that for me. I can't. There's always something symbolic in there to point out. Okay. So again, that just makes me think about that. Um, and how they used to call certain people bucks and things like that. And then, like we just did the video about the Native American talking the other day about if the, Buffalo and all these others were fighting with them, they may have been in a different situation now. And I was telling you guys that that is representing people, certain groups of people. Okay. That again, probably have something to do with you. Okay, so anyhow, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Robes, rabbit hair or skin. Um, let's see. And leaves of yucca, something, fiber. Indians made skirts of kilts. Again, that's Just saying. Reminds me of ancient Egypt with the kilted kind of skirts that they would wear. And then also with, other groups that wear kilts. Okay, the blanket of, okay, let's see, hair. I know this ain't going to do this to me because I know that I found more stuff than this before I had to redo this. Fine rows of Mexican Indians, the feathers or plume. Again, plume, we're talking serpent. We're talking, a lot of things. Think about the goddesses and gods of ancient Egypt and think about them wearing some kind of feathers around their head, symbolic. They only show you the images because they can't show you pictures. But again, and then you think about the serpent as well. Okay, and how many serpent tribes and everything that we had in the Americas and in South America and things like that, and they were there, the oldest people there, just like in the garden. Okay, in the wisest, okay, because they were dealing with they were in tune, okay, with self. Okay, they didn't see the God so called how people see it. They were really, you know, in tune with something else. Okay, and that's why they had to get rid of that stuff for you and just put you in church. Okay, and make you stick with just the Bible when there's other stuff that everybody else uses to look into what we're really talking about. But no, 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 no. They keep you there and working with your heads down forever so that you don't know what's going on around you. Okay, the feathers on the plume, the rabbit skin on the hair, or the hair. In Mexico, two were combined. Da 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 da. Okay, let's see. And then we have here where it's talking about uh, mask gazes upward, eyeless, from amidst the heap of decay, matter, or through strands of disheveled hair. Strands of disheveled hair. Kind of remind me of locks again. Streaming from the shriveled scalp. Huh. Hmm. Hmm. Although it is often stated that the Pimas cremated their dead, the Pagoas certainly did not. Okay. The women have, okay, the Pueblo stock and the TEYAS and Tao. So again, this is also, I was thinking pagodas here, okay, for like some type of an ancient Asian something. And then you come down here and it says the Teo. And now that is making me think of something that has something to do with an Asian flair. And when I say that, I'm just saying just around the whereabouts of that without us going too deep, okay? Or the Tao, okay? The women have their hair cut short over the forehead like a prototype, okay, of civilized bangs, a white chemise or chemise, a flashy skirt, necklace, collar, okay. Let's see. The dwellings of the Moaves or Moab or Mojave and their neighbors. The Bahak, you see what it says, are described as low, lower standards. Okay, so again, these are the names that we're probably not hearing about that much. It almost reminds me of Barak in the Bible, but again, that might be reaching. As low, constructed of branches, again, or classes or branches, or what are we talking about? And then also in one of these images that the branches on one of these trees stuck out to me too. But anyways, of branches and covered with mud. Okay. Are described as low, constructed of branches. Is this sections or are we really talking about branches and covered with mud? Yeah, that's kind of strange. They wove okay, of the Ozara, it is stated that they wove mantles of cotton and wore their hair long, excuse me, plaited and covered it with pieces of cloth or buckskin. I wonder why they did that. It's kind of like us wrapping our hair today. But anyhow, I wonder why they did that. Was this another person with a different type of skin that had to do this in order to keep their hair intact because it didn't naturally go intact? It's also reminded me of one of those images of Indians that I put up a while back with I think it was there was a lady with a afro. There was somebody that had like a funny kind of fuzzier hair texture, and then there was another one with like three puffy plaits that were sticking out. Seemed like they had something in it, kind of like Pippi Longstocking, you know. Oh, which is making me think of how she said the Cara Cara. I think she was from the. I used to love that movie when I was little, Pippi Longstocking. But anyhow, the Bora Bora. I can't remember what people. She would tell those stories about her dad and the people that they lived amongst and things like that. Um, just something random. Sorry, I don't think about some of this stuff. Sometimes it just comes out. So, plaited and covered in a piece of cloth or buckskin. The tribes in the lower Colorado, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Hair, which Fray Marco was informed were made and worn at the Teutonic or Teutotic were not exclusive to the Moqui. The Zunis made them also. So, anyways, when you hear Zunis or something, you automatically, or I would automatically think, what do you call it? I would automatically think a Zuni tribe of Africa or something. Let's see. Okay, so I think that's it. And then let's just look at complexion. Okay, they are tall, straight, and rather corpulent, with usually black eyes. Okay, where nobody really has black eyes, but then I've been looking at some ancient images and I've been looking at some people and I've been like, and then reading about the black eyed people and stuff like that. So again, who knows what really happened in this place back then or what's going on and even happening again today. That's why I don't think that we should be guinea pigs for anyone at this point in time. The women present not an uncomely. Okay, so again, we're talking about comely and uncomely. And again, when you guys can, this is to ultra analyze 360 even more degrees of looking at this stuff. And taking in all the information. Again, those of us that are seers and seekers, you know what I mean about all the information that you've taken in. It's not now time to actually put it all together, even though it doesn't make sense, because again, it makes sense to someone else. There's only going to be a small percentage of people that will understand what you're saying. But again, it's for those people. It's not for everybody. So again, when we're talking these ways, you have to think throughout the Bible, there's different ways of speaking that's going on here. Why is it that things were written in the 1860s sound similar? They're using the same verbiage as they're using in the Bible at different times. Same thing when I looked up Joshua, the book of Joshua. Most of the things that I got was from American history or certain types of encyclopedias and different writings, okay, that would actually seem like they're talking about the same thing, but it's written as in it's talking about something totally different, using different terminology. Okay. And it's around the time that I'm talking about all this stuff is occurring here. So it's just, you have to, when they say that some of these different writers of antiquity had something to do with writing the Bible, it may be true, because you have to look at their style of writing. Like Paul Revere and all these other people, you have to look at the style of writing that they had and then look at what, text in the Bible is similar to that. Okay. So the women present not uncomely appearance again. So they were pretty or beautiful, okay, which would make some angels or some soldiers probably fall in love with these people or want to like these people, or even it didn't even have to mean to. It could be just they had a liking to them. They saw how they were and they said this is wrong or something, and they didn't want to do it, or they intermingled or amalgamated with them, or there's other ways of having intercourse with a group. Okay. And again, we can't just think sex every single time you see intercourse in the Bible, because again, when you do the etymology, then you'll see that even in history, you can't use that for that every single time. Okay. They may even selected that group as in that the people that are going to be on their plantation, again, because they were getting the land and whatever was on the land sometimes. Okay. At certain times in history. Okay. Their complexion is a bronze hue. Okay. The dresses of the females is also made of the skin of pelican, with which they cover themselves from the waist, whatever. Okay, so you notice a lot of these people they're saying are using skin and stuff from smaller animals, not really the bigger animals. As you know, I'm just saying from what we've seen so far. The different skin, rabbit skin, and these type of skins and stuff like that, is what these people were using. Pelican, that could be symbolic for something, but again, okay. His ancient beliefs, according to considered one or another, the other, more suitable to his actual needs, but no outsiders should meddle with either. They are generally tall, strong limbed, and of dark complexion. Now, why in the world would they have to go to Africa to get anyone? Again, think about it today. Do you think, I mean, how many, Manute Bol or whatever his name was from the 90s or something, the 80s or 90s? I don't know. When I was growing up, it was so that he was from Africa. Then the other Chinese boy, I can't remember his name, the big tall one that basketball play. But other than that, if everywhere else is so prominent with these people that they were faster and stronger and all this stuff, why don't they go there today and get their players? Why do other countries get our players to come over to their place to play basketball? But most of the people in America that are in our sports, the NFL or in the NBA or whatever, they are American. You know what I'm saying? It's just so funny to me because I think I could go off on a whole another thing when we're talking about sportsmen of America, because I think they play a major part in this, as if their DNA, again, from antiquity, they were dealing with DNA, okay, for a long time, longer than they telling you, okay. And I think that sometimes when we have these images where they resemble these people to the T, I think it's because they use the DNA. I think that's what they're talking about when they're talking about cloning and stuff is something like what we imagine, but I think it's also something like something else. And also bloodlines, bloodlines that went into alliance with these people because of whatever reasons they had to, and they have kept the DNA or whatever from those stock of people. And I think that these people, again, they follow these boys from youth. You have to know something already about them. You know what I'm saying? It's just a lot of stuff that goes with it. So again, that's just me randomly talking, and this is the way I'm going to start doing things, okay? So when I think about that, I think they don't run to Africa now to pick up players from there. So what are we really trying to say here, okay? So again, very tall, and when we're talking about Mississippi, where do they get most of our players? From the South. And a lot more people of color go to college in the South too. They even come from the North to go to the South to go to colleges. But not to say that, I'm just saying that's just it. But once you know the whole damn game, then it is what it is. Okay. So anyhow, why would they have to go to Africa to pick up anyone if they had this particular stock here in America? It just doesn't make any sense. Because it doesn't make any sense. Because again, let's just remember that Africa in South America, at some point of the two countries, supposed countries, there is only 1,800 miles perimeter, or diameter, distance. Okay, sorry, perimeter is around. So there is a distance of 1,800 miles. That is probably coming from Wisconsin to Texas, okay, which it takes about 24 or more hours, depending on where you're coming from, to get to one of those particular places. And I think that that's even a little bit more, okay. So to say that so-called people from that portion of land, again, takes me back to Pangea and wonder if it was that long ago. Okay, so when you talk about people that come from that portion of land, you mean to tell me that these people were not already mingling and already going back and forth and trading with each other? I had someone that was supposedly from Africa that told me that they had everything and it's so rich over in Africa they didn't need anything. Well, I can't tell, because there's more people coming over here from those continents over that way, coming to the supposed Western continent, to stay. So I'm just wondering, again, because we have, how some of the best oil and the most oil comes from South America, but then they don't make a big fuss about it. They want to keep talking about Iraq again. And then symbolically, what are they really talking about? When we're talking about are we talking about duality here? See, because this is what we're going to start talking about on this channel, about things that are very similar. Okay, indeed. So they are generally tall, strong, dark complexion. They dress as much as possible to refuse civilized clothing. Let's see. When outside of their homes, and in the center of the Tuscan, for instance, but blah, 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 blah. Okay, so again, here's another one about these particular people. They occupy southwestern Chihuahua. um, Okay, let's see. And are said to be very swarthy complexion, rather well formed, and are divided into sedimentary Taharahum, whatever, okay, normally Christianized, okay, and wild or savage ones living separately from the, if it was one I wanted to click on, that would be one. Okay, let's see. The Yakub, and this is reminding me of Yakub or Jacob or Yakub, who has been raised amongst whites from childhood on, enjoy our mode of living. Wait, enjoy our. Oh, so this is someone writing about this, huh? Our mode of living, or okay, let's see, among whites from childhood on, enjoy our, okay, so as the whites, okay, of living and sympathize with us. Their complexion is usually bronze. They are well formed. The women rather buxom and of middle height. Okay. In some of the pueblos, again, we will have to dissect this word too, since it's coming up so much. Females are found who are very white and handsome. They are children of the so-called coyote. Okay, that's the only thing I can see. And that's just because I can just see a little bit of it. So let's just look at this one and then I'll let you guys go. Come on, is it going to work? Okay, let's see. Living separate from the others. Okay, so again, those will be the ones in the wilderness. The other ones will be civilized. Okay. Though in the same region, when willing to work, they are regarded as faithful laborers. And they seem to be in the respect of the Chihuahua what the Yaquis or Mayos are for Sonora. Sonora. A friend of mine, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So again, oh, it is a very large tribe, but scattered. And no estimate of numbers can even approximate truth. I have seen quite a number, small, wicked looking, sneaky, cowardly, shifty, and ill clad, or rather not clad, for a bow, an arrow, and very small piece of very small shirt seems to constitute full dress, though tough looking citizens. Okay, they live as they can, plant a little corn and potatoes, raise some herds of cattle and goats, and gather wild honey, land of milk and honey, and all in very well sophisticated, only to keep body and soul together. The tribe is divided into two great sections or fractions, Gentiles and Christians. Let's see. Ways of life. Okay, Okay. So again, let's see. Potatoes and corn. Okay. Let's see. Um, hmm. Let's see some of the images that were found that look like some of now. Well, this person looked kind of strange, but all these people look very small though too. But again, we see who they are. We see who they are, or at least where they stem from. Come on now, you see who they are. These are the particular, and they so dark again because what would it be if you lived in Texas? Okay. Again, here are some more prehistoric Texas. Okay, this is getting closer. Look at these sisters. Look at these people. Look at the colors. Even they complement everything around here is complement. Look, the earth, everything coming from the earth, the horses, the clothing, everything complements that skin tone. So come on now. Come on now. Let's get with, and then here's a little piece of cloth right here, whatever, like what they're talking about, the skirts with the stuff around it and stuff like that. Okay, the naked little babies. Again, a lot of your children like to walk around like that today. Here's the side thing here. We can see that this hair is shorn or cut. Okay. Now it's a little bit straightened, but again, there was different tools. hot sticks and different things like that that these people were using to straighten their hair. Who knows what they had before they were taken over and run away from their original habitat to straighten their hair if they want to. Again, that doesn't mean that they want it to be some way. Some of them might have done this so that they can blend in a little bit better and won't be killed. But at the same time, you see, same way you wear it some way so that you can make it in and fit in with work, so that you can work there, so that you don't end up getting fired because of your hair. So again, this is kind of like what they're talking about, these plaits or whatever. And some of our grandmas still wear these today. You see his skin, the Indians of Texas. Okay, so again, you see the features also. There's no Asiatic, no, not, I won't say Asiatic, but there's no Siberian or Mongoloid appearance to the eye. Well, I'll say at least Siberian to the eyes. Look at this. These features are, you know what they are. Okay. Also here, now this, so now we get into original here. So he does have two feathers here, but I told you guys lately I've been finding that the people that are more tied, I think, to the earth, and look, he's walking with a coyote. I think this is a beautiful watercolor image. But yeah, you'll see he has like little tails of things and rabbit stuff, feet or whatever, and you know, wrapped around the hair or whatever. Okay. But look at this man. This is a man. This is a so-called black man. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. And you wonder why you call your brothers dogs today. Some of you. Or at some point in time as slang. Okay. So again, let's keep going. And this is something to do with Spain here. Now, you know this is a sister. Don't even try to think that you can't listen. Okay. So I'm just saying. All right. So you see her back here. They might try to make it lighten up here or whatever, and might have made her arms lighter. This is like a cloth or a glove or something. But you see her face. You see her hair. You see these locks hanging, and you see the ribbon or whatever tied around it, like they were just describing. And you see her. You see her. Okay. Now, this is something else that I'm going to go ahead and go into next. But again, this had something to do with Virginia and the Trail of Tears, and we'll go into that next. Okay. And, you know, I'm bringing this up again because a lot of stuff that I'm going to be doing in the next couple of weeks or whatever are going to have something to do with Joshua. So just think Joshua, or you might want to go ahead and read along with Joshua, because we're just going to go ahead and read along. And I'm just going to go ahead and try to stick most of my time into doing this. And by the time we get finished with this, you will definitely know that there are lots of correlations and there's some questions that could be asked at this point. Okay. So again, I want to thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to comment, rate, or subscribe. Thumbs up, guys, please. I'm hoping that next month I can start doing live streams on the channel. But again, that's just my hopes. So that it can be more interactive or whatnot. Okay. And so I can get your immediate responses or thoughts on stuff as I'm speaking. Okay. So again, I want to thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to join the Facebook group American Aborigines Unchained if you have something to